Hello. So today we are going to be doing a presentation on generativity by Sadie Davis. Let's go ahead and get started. So starting off with the basic question of what is generativity? Well, this is a concept that was developed by a very well-known and famous psychologist named Erik Erikson, pictured on the screen over here. So this came from the concern for guiding and contributing to the well-being of future generations by current generations. It typically occurs in the middle to late adulthood age, and it can be expressed in a variety of ways like charity, parenting, teaching, mentoring people, etc. It's basically just a way of the current or older generations to help out the future and new generations. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the test review from the test that we took in the class. So on a overall view, when it comes to Erikson's theory, generativity and stagnation occurs in middle adulthood, and that's all about giving to the future and those generations wanting to put useful work that will help out their future kids, grandkids, etc. When we add in some other psychologist ideas like Mr. Logan, we can see that he thought that generativity is not merely a midlife process, but rather an ongoing process across our whole life, which I think I agree with that a little bit more than Mr. Erikson, because I feel like as we grow in age, we're constantly doing stuff to better those who come after us, even if it's as simple as teaching your little sibling the right way to wash a dish or something. Like, I don't know, I think you're ultimately helping them be a better person and more responsible person throughout life, which can contribute to generativity. So now onto the LGS test that we took in class. This is basically a test that evaluates generativity levels, and it is really interesting because you're able to number your own score based on how much you agree or experience certain situations in your life. And it basically just tells you kind of where you fall on how likely you are to commit generative acts or how much you are a generative person. As for my personal relevance to this whole situation, Erikson's theory resonates with me because it places importance on satisfaction through influence, which relates to forensic psychology, my major, as I will be serving underserved populations. And that ties directly to wanting to help people and be kind of selfless and really just sacrifice that. So continuing on, we're going to talk about culture roles of generativity. So there are many different factors that will influence not only a person's culture, but then how much they're likely to interact with generativity. So starting with gender, it is seen in a lot of cultures that women will be encouraged to kind of do the more caregiving roles for generativity, whereas men may do the mentorship and the provision. But as time goes on, these roles are evolving and changing and becoming more open, which is really great. For religion, many faiths will encourage service and moral responsibility, community engagement, all that. So many churches will preach to you to, serve in your community and really kind of take a step down from yourself and help those around you, which is a huge thing in generativity. Education, higher education levels may contribute to the future generations. And as for comparing different cultures, we can compare a collectivist culture and an individualistic culture. So collectivist culture is going to focus on family and community roles, which is kind of going to be a bigger picture of generativity, whereas an individualistic culture is going to focus more on personal achievement and mentorship to those specific relationships in your life. For example, if a grandparent really takes the time to be a mentor for their grandchild to help them succeed as a future generation. Continuing on, for me personally, we're going to look at my level of generativity after taking the LGS test. So my LGS score was 32. This was actually a moderate to low score on the LGS test rating. So what exactly does this mean? I personally have some generative concern, but I may have trouble committing to it, which really fits with my personality type as well, because I'm the type of person who procrastinates and who can burn themselves out by going way into something at once. So I feel like this makes sense as to why I got the score 32. But I also am really passionate about helping people and kind of trying to be a selfless person, so I feel like it balances out. Now, where does my personal level of generativity show up in my life? I do volunteering. I help raise my little siblings and my little cousins through babysitting and teaching them new things. and I also serve others on a regular basis every week. I do a lot of different volunteer work, which we'll get into on a later side. So, as we mentioned, my current generative activities. So, when focusing on my personal personality type, I am an INFJ, and basically, this is from the Myers-Briggs 16 personality test, and this personality is known for its deep empathy and altruism, which means that I'm driven to help others, and it also has a really strong sense of purpose, which makes me a visionary thinker and somebody who's really dedicated to what I want to do. Um, so when putting this into an alignment with generativity and what that means, we can see that meaningful long-term impact aligning with Erickson's ideas that fulfillment will come and contribute to future generations. So that's basically just saying that I have the exact personality that wants to give to people and that really wants to put others first and be driven to help them out, with that little bit of resistance, from burnout or from procrastination. But ultimately, it aligns with Erickson's idea that fulfillment will come later in the future and that that's something that I'm passionate about. So to get more specific, my current generative activities, for one, is going to be mentoring and teaching. So every Wednesday, I lead co-facilitated psychoeducational groups with a local middle school near GCU. This has taught me a lot about how to serve others and how to put their needs before your own. And that's been something that's been really great, and I've learned a lot from the girls that I work with. It's been so much fun. And then another thing I do is volunteering, and every Monday I go to a local Phoenix street shelter, and me and some of the other girls that volunteer there, we hold engagement activities for the residents. This has been an incredible way to get to know people, get to know their stories, spend a little bit of my own money to bring them cookies and treats and buy them little games that they can win in bingo. It's just like little things like that I think is helping other people, being selfless, and also helping the future generations to come. If we can support the people who are struggling with homelessness right now, maybe they can get back on their feet and then also go serve the community and help other people. So it's really like a whole domino effect, which I think is super cool. So continuing on, for me personally, future career goals, this is gonna tie into generativity for me a lot, because not only my personality type, INFJ, but also being a forensic psychology major, the two really combo together. So we can look at focusing on the vulnerable populations. So I will, as I've been working with people who are experiencing homelessness, substance abuse, and incarceration, this will aim to prevent recidivism and promote positive change. This is something that I'm extremely passionate about, is trying to target substance abuse and learn as much about it as I can. I personally have a lot of family who has been affected by substance abuse issues, so I'm really passionate about maybe going to that as a future career, which ties right into generativity, because if we can clean up the streets of drugs now and prevent it now, then in the long run, that's only going to help future generations, which is really cool. And then generativity through mentorship. So helping individuals rebuild their lives and make healthier decisions, creating a ripple effect that will influence future generations. So it kind of ties back to what I just said, but encouraging and helping people to make better decisions now and get on their feet and really pursue their dreams and stop using drugs, or, stay out of jail, reduce recidivism, X, Y, and Z. All of this is going to ultimately help the future generations, just like the domino effect that we mentioned. The less people that are incarcerated now will hopefully mean that less people will be incarcerated in the future if these numbers can keep lowering, if we keep helping people. And then finally, for future career goals, we can look at impactful clinical work. So I am going to be pursuing a PsyD. I'm still in my undergraduate, but that's the program that I want to do when I graduate next year. So pursuing a PsyD to provide therapy and support to those in need and contributing to long-term societal change. Again, this is something I'm super passionate about. I want to get my doctorate in psychology to focus on clinical work and working one-on-one with people and really just like giving my personal all to help improve their lives, which I think is just a huge part of what I've learned about generativity. And I can only hope that the actions and the things that I do in my lifetime can impact, however many generations to come. So then looking at maintenance of this, for mentorship, this is just going to be, I want to continue to share my knowledge and guide others and help them grow and develop their personal and their professional lives. Community engagement, to contribute to my community through volunteering or through activism, and addressing societal changes and creating lasting change. For example, to tie this back to my weekly volunteering at the street shelter, I would really love to have the opportunity to work with homeless people and really find the root cause of why are so many people on the streets and addicted to drugs and in this messy place, and build from there to create long-lasting change to stop someone from being homeless ever again. You know, that's kind of a far stretch, but it's what I'm going after. And then lastly, it's just parenting and support, fostering the growth of future generations, whether it's with kids of my own, my niece and nephew, my little sister, my little cousins. I want to continue to instill this drive in all the younger generations that I meet to just help them not only persevere through hard times, but also be stronger than me and everybody that came before them. And hopefully we can see some really good change in the world. And then just for some extra fun stuff about generativity, I have found through my research that generativity equals happiness. Obviously, you don't have to dedicate your entire life to making sure that the future generations are set up for success, but I think that sharing with others and building the future makes somebody happier and also have a more purposeful life. Excuse me. And then little actions count. So generativity is not always about gigantic, big changes and impacts. It can be small things like offering advice, and stuff like that can really matter to somebody in need. And then that's going to be it for this presentation. Here's my references of some of the journal articles and the textbook that I used, but I really enjoyed researching generativity, so thank you so much for listening to me. Bye, have a good day.